Welcome to Sex, Love, and Intimacy Coaching. I'm Susan Bratton, the CEO of Personal Life Media, and I'd like to introduce you today to Chaz August, one of my dearest personal friends who has helped me through the roughest times of my life. And when I decided to put together a coaching program, Chaz was my first call. He's an amazing man with incredible experience, and we're going to talk about that right now. Hi, Chaz.
Well, hi, Suze. Good to wait. Yeah, it's good to see you. Good to be with you.
Always. I'll take Skype anytime.
Yeah.
25 years. You've been leading personal growth, sex, love, and intimacy workshops and helping people one-on-one. Just tell us the story about that. How did you get involved in the world of being a coach? And how did you get drawn into the sexuality sphere?
Thanks for asking. Thanks. When I look back, it all seems a little bit of magic. I could not have predicted in my 20s I'd be doing what I do now in my 60s. I can't, that path, I don't think I could have ever imagined. I was working in advertising and marketing and not very happy. Making an okay living, but not really very fulfilled. I was in a marriage that wasn't working for me. Basically, we kind of stopped having sex about 6 months after the marriage. And it was more than that. We weren't communicating well, and really, when I look at it now, if I was my own client, I would say we both pretended to be the person the other one needed to marry.
Yeah.
But then we were married to the real person, and it wasn't just her. I did it too. I can see it. So here we were, not very happy, but comfortable. And our dentist recommended we go do a personal growth workshop.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Yep. Led by a guy named Stan Dale.
Oh, yeah.
The workshop was what is sex, what is love, what is intimacy at Harbin Hot Springs. And so off we went for the weekend. And I didn't really think I was going for marriage counseling. We were just looking for something spicy and fun to do on a weekend. And it was that. But it was so much more. All of a sudden, I was in this room with other adults who, are just working adults, men, women, all races, ages, colors, creeds, just all adults. That's the only thing we had in common. But all interested in love and intimacy and sexuality. And the workshop was extraordinary. It just opened my heart wide. I had no idea how guarded I was. It just opened my heart wide open. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And my wife liked it. She didn't love it. She liked it. And it turned out there were other levels. There were other workshops we could do. So we went back and did a second one. Well, the second one was about loving yourself. Yeah. And I liked it. It was really great. She loved it.
Oh, that's what she needed.
Loving yourself was really not just about the idea of loving yourself. It was actually about loving your body and loving your gender and loving your sexuality. This was not an intellectual thing. So it was extraordinarily freeing in a way. So we decided we'd go back and do another one.
They are addictive, those Human Awareness Institute workshops. A big part, it's interesting. I just have to say an aside that one of the reasons Tim and I started Personal Life Media was because we went to the high workshops, we met you, we got our heart blown open, and we said, how can we create a way for people like you to talk to anyone, anywhere in the world? And affect them at the level that we were affected. And, you were with us from the very beginning around that.
And I'm very grateful. I'm grateful for your trust. And So it took me 3 workshops. But the third workshop, I knew, okay, forget the marketing thing. Forget the advertising thing. I don't care if I never make a penny. I need to be in this arena.
It's your calling.
I come alive being around people who find their heart and who find their sexuality. I come alive helping people wake up to the possibility of what love can be and what intimacy can be. So that was it. From that third workshop on, everything about my life was, how do I get to do this? So I volunteered, I trained to lead those workshops, I created a support group for people who had attended those workshops, and I started offering my services to coach people, mostly in those workshops. And all of that started in 89 and 90, and so that was the beginning. I don't think I set out to be a coach. But, I was seeing close to 1,000 people a year in workshops. And so a lot of those people really wanted to continue the work. And so in the process, I started to realize I needed more skills. I got a certification in hypnotherapy because it was a really useful skill. I got a certification in neurolinguistic programming. Very useful skill. I worked with Marshall Rosenberg, who's the founder of Nonviolent Communication, and really learned more about empathetic listening and really about compassionate communication. Right. I went and did a training with Dr. Tom Gordon, who's the guy who wrote Parent Effectiveness Training, and spent a week just learning how to listen to kids and how to talk to kids. And I have to tell you, everything I learned in the parenting training, I use with my clients. Every bit of it. I'm not saying this in a paternalistic way, but it turns out if you can listen to a child, you can listen.
Right? Well, I also think that maybe that's why when I've worked with you and when Tim's worked with you, I'm not sure he has had this experience, but I have, where it feels like you get to have the parenting you never got from your parents because they're not trained professionals. Yeah. But it does feel like sometimes you're like the dad whose shoulder I can cry on, and who gives me unconditional love and says all the right things. So I guess that parenting training really did work.
Well, it's that. For 20 years, the guy who founded High, Stan Dale, was my mentor and my surrogate dad, and he really taught me how to be a man. He really taught me how to be strong but have my tears, how to be in my heart but still have boundaries. I was very, very blessed. I had a challenged childhood, and there was a way that my 20 years with Stan as my mentor really reparented me and also gave me a possibility that one could actually live your life in love, that you could actually choose to see everything as an act of love or a cry for love.
Yeah.
Really love everybody.
Yeah, that's so great. So much is a cry for love.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So that's kind of my story. At this point, I've probably talked to, 10, 20,000 people, somewhere in that range. Not all of them as coaching clients, often in workshops, where I get them 50 to 100 at a time, and I just love it. It just never gets old. It's just lovely to be with people in a heart connection, looking at what's possible in their life. And then saying the words and doing the work opens up my life to what's possible. So it's a gift that gives back,
I think your gift, the thing that I've noticed that sets you apart, is that I can watch. So I'll be, if I've been in a workshop with you that you've been leading, and a person stands up and they do what you call a large group share. So they're, telling the entire room some deep-seated, painful thing that's been troubling them for most of their life. And they say some things, and what you answer almost has nothing to do with what they just said. Yet when you say whatever it is you said back to them, they're like, yes. Yeah. And I'm like, how did he get that out of that? Because those two things didn't have anything to do with each other. So it's almost like you ride in between it's like it's not even the language that you're tuning into.
It actually isn't. Yeah.
It's some other thing that you're reading about them. Are you able to do that over Skype and the phone too?
Yeah. Phone is hardest. I mostly don't like doing phone sessions because really I need to see your face.
Yeah.
I need to see your body. I need to watch when your leg starts wiggling or you suddenly cross your arms in front of your chest or you start putting your hand in front of your mouth. Yeah. I think, so first, I used to be kind of woo. I used to think this was some kind of spiritual gift of some way that God was talking to me. Now, I want to be clear. I actually believe in a supreme being, but I like my relationship with my God, but I don't think my God is whispering in my ear, this is what's happening over here. As I trained, I began to realize that my dad was an alcoholic, and I really had to be able to read his body language in the distance from the getting out of the car to the front door. Because reading that wrong meant you might get beaten.
Yeah.
Reading that wrong meant you might get humiliated. So I think I learned unconsciously and unintentionally how to read your body language, your posture, what's in your face, right? And then the workshops just let me develop that. It was sort of like I had these raw tools already. And then listening to person after person after person,
the volume.
Began to learn that the words were an important part of the conversation, but they were often just a fraction of what was being communicated. And that if I would listen to the body and the tonality and I've led workshops in German, in Japanese, in French, right?
Where you have a translator.
Yeah. But they can't, the translator can't, all they can translate is the words, right? Yeah. And the translators later will say to me, how did you know what to respond before I gave you the translation? And it's like, because I could hear the tone, I can see the face, I can see the body. I know what this person's saying. I know what the subject is.
Yeah.
So I know what's going on here, and we can have this communication even if we have no words in common.
Nice. Right? That's particularly good for people who aren't very articulate and have trouble accessing their emotions and verbalizing them. I can imagine that's a handy skill that you have.
My experience, and this is a generalization, and I've met people who don't fit the generalization. But my experience is a lot of us men, maybe most of us men, we kind of get trained. We don't really a lot of us don't really develop a very sophisticated language of our heart. We don't really develop a sophisticated emotional language. We're not rewarded for that. This is why there are so many more women therapists than men therapists. This is why in helping professions, like nursing and teachers, this is why there are so many more women than men. Yeah. And I'm not saying no men ever learn this, but more women learn it than men learn it. This language of our emotions and our heart.
Yeah, but absolutely.
It's not that we don't express it. We just don't learn a language for it. Okay, and part of what I'm really good at, I think, is reading that language, hearing, basically listening to what someone says, looking at their features, and then dropping into, wow, how would that feel inside me? And I've developed an emotional vocabulary. I've worked on that. Yeah. And so I can say back, wow, I can really hear how frustrating that must be. And under the frustration, maybe I hear a little fear that that maybe you're just doomed to this for the rest of your life. And you just watch somebody go, yes, it's exactly what I was trying, And so
such a relief for people to feel heard.
To be heard.
When they can't even express it.
Yeah.
So
that's what we do.
We have 3 stories that we're going to talk about today. And one of them is a story about shame and a feeling of not deserving. A story of orgasmic response not being what the person thought they should have or could have. About being in resistance to your body, not loving your body. A story about needs not getting met in a marriage. So we have a story of a woman, a story of a man, and a story of a couple that you've helped. And I know that in some cases these are specific people you're thinking about, and in other cases these are amalgamations of many, many people that you've helped. Because one thing you and I both know is that there are a lot of stories that are very, very common, that everyone thinks are totally unique to them, that are almost in some ways word for word the experience that hundreds and thousands, if not millions of people are going through. Yeah.
And are still unique to each individual.
And are unique, but common and solvable.
Yes.
And that's why we're here, is to help you get whatever is holding you back from having what you want taken care of by someone who can love you through the process and give you a structure and a process to follow so that you have a weight lifted and success and more love and less shame and more pleasure and more orgasms and more connection. And so let's start with your story of the woman, because I think that even if you're a man, you have a lover, or you have been with many women who have had this as their obstacle, and you have not known how to help her overcome this. And so this is as important for you as a man to be able to lead and support your woman through these feelings, because I'd say every woman has had these feelings, and most women have them all the time in some percentage. So this is a story of all women in many ways.
Yeah, or many, most.
Yeah. A darn lot, too many.
So I want to make just a little distinction, and then I'm going to talk about this specific case.
Great.
I'm not a therapist, and I want to and I want to say what I mean by that. Okay, I think there's value for therapy. When I think of therapy, I think of something that's broken that a medical kind of professional will help you repair. You get physical therapy if you're rehabbing your knee or your hip. There are psychological therapeutic things. Okay, I'm a coach. I don't look for what's wrong with you so much as I listen to the story of what you're experiencing, get clear from you what your goal is about what you'd like to experience, and see if I can't help you change something in your life to experience it. If you must give a name to it, it's actually kind of related to cognitive behavioral therapy, right? It's thoughts and behavior. We change thought, it'll change behavior. We change behavior, it'll change thought. Okay? So as you're listening to this, anybody who's watching this, I just want to be really clear. This isn't medicine. This isn't psychiatry. There's some psychological aspects to it. This is really coaching. This is really coaching because in my own life, I found that when somebody says, why don't you just say this thought to yourself over and over again and see what changes, amazing things can happen. Why don't you just change this? Doctor, it hurts when I do this. Don't do that. There's some amazing things that happen out of that.
Well, and you've done that for a number of people that I know. Many times where they've literally come to you once, twice, 3 times, just a couple of times, and you've entirely shifted their lives for them in just a few sessions. So unlike therapy as well, which is kind of a long, drawn-out experience, you're the kind of guy where you can fix stuff a lot of times. Very quickly.
Anybody having one session will get a lot of value. And that said, I have a number of clients who come back every couple of weeks because they use the coaching as an ongoing part of achieving what they want to achieve in terms of heart and happiness. And also, by the way, I have to say success in their, like actual financial success. It's all tied together.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. I mean, if you are lacking confidence around who you are sexually and in relationship, you're not kicking ass in the workplace. At all. You're not living up to your potential.
Or sadly, you're kicking ass when what you really want to be doing is empowering others.
Right, true that. All right.
So let's talk. I had a woman come to my office. Actually, somebody I knew socially, right? Who one day came to me and said, "You're a coach, aren't you? Can we talk?" And I said, "Sure, come to my office." And what she started to talk about was her struggle getting in relationship and maintaining relationships that were really fulfilling. And the more she talked, the more really what she was saying was, I carry inside me some shame about being a sexual woman. That there's some way I don't really believe that my genitals look and smell beautiful. I don't really know how to do sort of sexy behavior that sends signals. Even when I'm wanting sexuality, it's very hard for me to really let go and just be, innocent wild child. I've got these rules. And I notice what happens is I pick people in relationship who won't bring up all that shame. They won't make me feel that shame. And I wind up in sexless relationships and I'm not happy. And so what are you going to do with that? Okay. So first we need to talk about shame. All right. And I need to say, I've spent some time reading a lot of texts and studies about shame. And it's pretty clear that human beings were born already with the ability to feel sadness, to feel anger, frustration, to feel happiness, joy. But really, shame doesn't show up until we're like between 18 months and 5 years old.
Huh.
Yeah. It shows up later. And it usually shows up first as what they call an affect. We behave like we're ashamed to get a reaction, but there's no clear evidence that there's an actual feeling inside us. We teach us the feeling of shame, and our parents cooperate with us. Our parents and our teachers cooperate, teaching us to be ashamed. And I want to say that they do it not because they want to ruin our life, but because really they don't want. Any parent knows this. There's a period in your child's life when they get what's called fecal expressive, where they may take their poop and wipe it on the wall and stuff, and you got to stop that behavior, because really, it's going to make it really hard for you to live with this kid. Turns out the tools we use at first to control and to help a child start to adapt to the rules of culture is shame. Shame on you. You did this and that. Shame on you.
Oh God! Even when you just when you say that out loud, it makes me go, oh.
Right?
Right.
It's deep in us.
I don't want you to ever say that.
All right, now think about your childhood. So she's talking to me about her shame, and I'm immediately thinking, all right, well, what kinds of, tell me about your parents and tell me about the ways they taught you. And she doesn't have an abusive background. Her parents are very loving, right? And then we start talking about Disney cartoons, and we start talking about Barbie dolls, and what's really clear to me is all of the images of womanhood that she carries from her childhood are sexless.
Yeah.
There is no sex scene in Aladdin and Jasmine and in the Disney princesses. She got, like the Little Mermaid, she gets to have her prince, but they don't actually have sex. There's not even really flirting.
Yeah.
There's not really woman sexuality. All right, I'm not saying that's appropriate or inappropriate, but I'm really clear that it can be very easy to start to internalize a story that there are good girls and bad girls.
Yeah.
And if I want to be, I want to be married and have kids and have a successful life, I need to be a good girl, and good girls don't fuck. Good girls don't have yonis or pussies. Good girls don't see a guy they like and wiggle their hips a little more. Good girls don't do that, right? And as I talk to her about her childhood, I begin to get this, so tell me about your parents. Well, my parents never flirted in front of me. Well, did you ever walk in on them having sex? No. They were very careful to lock the door. I can remember as a little kid hearing the sounds, and asking my mom what was going on and having mommy say, you'll understand later. Okay, I got it. So there's this underlayer of shame associated with sexuality, which anybody who's grown up a teenager in America knows gets reinforced, okay? When you're in high school, you're either with the good girls or you're with the bad girls. You're with the good guys or the bad guys.
Yeah, and your girlfriends will shame you.
They will.
As well, to keep you in line.
It's huge.
I know.
Right? Okay. So as we talk, this is all in one session. As we talk, I ask her, okay, so I have a daughter. I personally have a daughter, and I have a stepdaughter, okay? And my stepdaughter's just about to go to college, and my daughter's just completing college. And they have a really good relationship. I'm very lucky. I have great kids, and my parenting work really taught me how to be a good parent. And so we have a really good relationship, a good conversational relationship. So I start thinking about the things I taught my daughter as a sort of an antidote to the shaming that I thought culture might do. And that has me ask my client, so if you were raising you, if you were your parent, what would you have wanted? What's the message you would have wanted to learn? Yeah. And it takes a while for us to get there, but really I think what all parents want to teach their children is some integration of love, intimacy, and sexuality. Yeah. That we don't want to teach our children. I think most of us think that sex without love is kind of empty and can actually be a little damaging to the psyche.
Yeah. But
love without sex is also kind of empty and can be damaging to the psyche.
Yeah.
And that we want to teach how to integrate. And how do you do that? Well, one thing you do is you stop being ashamed. You name body parts. You teach your child what a vagina is. You teach your child what a penis is. One thing is you talk about your own pleasure, but in a way that's appropriate to your children, right? So, mommy and daddy make love, and when we make love, we touch each other's bodies, and we hold each other, and it's really beautiful. It's a way that our feelings get expressed through our touch. And it's one of the ways we have fun, and it's one of the ways we say we love each other. Well, can I do that with you? Well, there's different kinds. You do that. When we hug, that's what we're doing with you. But there's a special kind. There's a special kind for when it's when it's somebody that you think is your boyfriend or your girlfriend, somebody that you really love, right? Okay, so we start talking about, well, what would this conversation be like? And I'm not telling her my conversation, I'm listening to her conversation. And you can just watch as she tells me what she wished she learned. You can just watch the armor come off, the shame kind of let go, that moment of really getting that every child born is lovable and deserves love, and that the shame that we got, it doesn't have to be malicious. It's just, I think of it kind of like road dirt. We drive along and the road dirt gets stuck on your car. Great. It's really important to wash it off sometimes. It's really important to really look at it and go, oh, that's just road dirt. I don't really have to pay attention to it. I just have to clean it up. Okay? And one way we talk about cleaning it up is self-talk. Mm-hmm. Notice the next time you see some woman who's got too much cleavage in your opinion, or whose skirt is too tight in your opinion, or who's wearing 4-inch heels, and notice the voice inside your head, slut. Great. So that voice is keeping you ashamed. Notice, right? Notice when you see pictures of Kim Kardashian, what's your thought? Because that voice is probably feeding your shame.
Instead of, you go girl, express yourself, enjoy your sexuality. Thanks for being
So then notice
an example.
Yourself. Notice that moment when you sometimes feel a little stirring in your loins. Mm-hmm. Now, often people will feel shame, say to me, but I don't have libido. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. The shame really inhibits the libido. Mm-hmm. So one exercise I sent her home with is, I know this is kind of over the top, but really it works.
Good.
Okay, I want you to play with your yoni. I want you to masturbate every day for a week. Mm-hmm. Every day. You don't have to masturbate to orgasm. Yeah. But I want you to actually bring your loving touch to your body. Oh my God, 3 days later I get a text, hey, what do you know? I do have libido. Because once we lovingly accept, right? Okay. So I could talk for hours about it, but you kind of get that's what the work is, right? Figuring out what's the exercise to do, figuring out the languaging we're telling ourselves, see if we can't change the result we're getting.
Good girls do love sex.
Yeah,
reclaiming the innocent wild child.
Yeah.
Getting sex, love, and intimacy as the complete integration of what is possible in your connection with yourself and other. Having a slow, easy way to wipe off the road dirt and replace it with positive things that get you where you want to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
I know so many people have that shame. That was a good story. Please, sir, may I have some more? You have a story about a man.
Yeah.
And I am very aware that this particular issue and all of the ones that surround it are maybe the number one pain point for the hundreds of thousands of men that I've talked to. So many men are unaware about how common this is. So please tell us.
So I just want to say, as a man, even me, okay? So I would say the big category we're talking about right now is male performance.
Yes.
Okay? And I've been a sexual male since I was in my early teens, maybe before, but really consciously since I was in my early teens, and I'm now in my early 60s. Mm-hmm. Okay? So it isn't the same. Right? At 13, I could get an erection just by the way that my underwear sort of touched my penis, right? At 62, sometimes I don't get erect. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, right? At 62, sometimes I stay hard, sometimes I don't stay hard. Some of it's biological, but a huge part of it is fear of performance. All right? It's performance anxiety. So I had a client come to me, very successful man. Actually, a guy who teaches and coaches business success. And he's very good at it, and he's very successful at it. Lives much better than I do. Drives a better car, really has a lovely wife, 2 lovely kids. Takes him a long time to really get to why he's here, but finally says to me, actually, by the way, he didn't visit me personally. We did it all on Skype, just like this. He finally gets to me, finally kind of halfway through the session says, I prematurely ejaculate. Oh, okay. So first, tell me what that means. Okay, so we talk a little bit, and we kind of get that when he comes, but it's not when he wants to come.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what he means. He means it's sooner than he wants.
Okay.
All right, well, that's a big thought for a minute here. Let's just stay with that thought for a minute. When I describe it as premature ejaculation, I have a medical problem. I have a physical problem that I've got to fix. I'm at war with my dick. I'm at war with my sexuality. It's not working for me. And because it's not working for me, I sneak off sometimes and I jerk off to I jerk off to pornography but I hide it from my partner because I'm too embarrassed that with my partner I come in a minute, but I can actually spend 10 or 15 minutes, maybe even more, and so I'm actually kind of not really opening up to my partner. And when I do open up to my partner, she's very sympathetic, but I know she's disappointed.
Yeah.
I know she's disappointed. I can see it in her face. I can see it. And I'm disappointed because then, we have sex for 5 minutes and then 3 minutes or a minute, and then she takes out the vibrator. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, God, I failed. Yeah. All right. Let's look at that whole cycle here. So I'm at war with my penis. I believe I'm failing repeatedly. I believe that my partner needing other stimulation is a measure of my failure. And I notice that when I'm just by myself, I can sustain a little longer. That really, what happens here is when I'm with my partner. Okay. Ouch, 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 ouch. Happy marriage, beautiful wife. I can't, all of a sudden, I don't want to be in bed with her anymore. I don't want to, right?
He's avoiding it, I'm sure.
Oof, what a pain.
And then, of course, she's feeling like she's not good enough or she's not desirable, and then that's creating more disconnection.
Right, exactly, and she's a mother of 2, so she doesn't look like she looked like when, right? So she's got her own story about that maybe this is something she does, or some way she's failed it.
Yeah.
Oof, it's a mess.
Yeah.
All right. So first, we have to be compassionate. First, not just I have to be compassionate as the coach, I have to teach this guy to be compassionate about what's going on. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff going on here. And there's a way, particularly us men, we kind of, I know not every guy thinks this, but a lot of my male clients kind of have this mentality of life as a hardware store. If something's broken, let me go to the hardware store, find the tool to fix it, bring it back, screw in the tool, and I'm done. I'm fixed.
You're the tool.
There's no hardware store for this. There's no hardware store for this. He's tried delay sprays and he's tried using a condom and there's just no help for this. There's nothing that he knows of in the tool store is working. Well, okay, big surprise there. Why isn't it working? So that's the first thing. We have to kind of talk through really the way we make real and meaningful change in our life is by loving ourselves into that change. That when we try to hate ourselves into change, we can fake the change, but it's the self-hatred that really takes over, right? This is one of the many reasons why diets don't work. When we're just telling ourselves we're fat and we've got to change this, we may lose 20 pounds, but I can pretty much guarantee within 6 months we'll have gained back 25, maybe 30, right? Because we can't hate ourselves into real meaningful change. Human beings just don't do that. It's just... So we have to love ourselves into meaningful change. Well, how do I love this thing that I don't love? I don't love this. It's out of my control.
Yeah.
Yes. So let's just talk about your life and how you are when things are out of your control. Can we make friends with chaos? Can we? He's got 2 kids and a wife and a thriving business. There's a fair amount of chaos in his life, right?
Yeah.
Can we stop being afraid of chaos? So one path we take is we start talking about his relationship with control. Well, it turns out to be a very fruitful thing, right down to like where one car gets parked versus where one other car gets parked, right down to the kids can play here, but the kids can't play there, right down to what time we eat. Whoa, what do you know? He's exerting control in every area of his life. He can exert control because he has no control over this. This is not creating the relationships he wants, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. I don't care how rich you are, how powerful you are. If you want to make God laugh, make a plan. Because you're not really in charge. I mean, you're in charge of what you're in charge of. And then stuff happens.
Yeah.
And you can't stop the stuff from happening. You can't, Steve Jobs had all the success and all the money and a great relationship and an amazing company, and he had cancer. Mm-hmm. Guess what? He could control what he could control, but stuff happened that cut his life short tragically because there is stuff that happens that's out of our control. And I listen to some of my control freaks tell me, yeah, but he used the wrong treatment and he used the... I'm telling you right now, he had pancreatic cancer. This wasn't about he didn't control it well. There are things out of our control. And embracing that is really hard. There's a thing they tell... my dad was a drunk. I said this earlier. My dad was an alcoholic. So I've been going to Al-Anon meetings since I was in my 30s, okay? And at the end of every Al-Anon meeting, they read the Serenity Prayer. They do this at the end of every 12-step meeting, the Serenity Prayer, right? The strength to accept the things I can't, learn the things I can't change and know the difference, right? Change what I can, see what I can't, really accept, right? Embrace that a piece of life is out of my control. Yeah. Yes, I can change the things I can change, but a piece of my life is out of my control. Okay, so now we're in the territory of feeling the pain of that. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to be able to will myself into making my dick behave. It's not the answer here. I need to actually love me as I am, and from loving me as I am, I can change. Now, that's a big project, loving me as I am. Yeah. So I said to him, I'm going to give you a shortcut. I'm just going to give you a shortcut.
Yay, here we love shortcuts.
That I suspect you've never thought of, because you wouldn't be having this problem. He said, yeah, great, give me the shortcut. I said, so what happens after you, quote, prematurely ejaculate? Well, I get upset, I roll off, my penis gets soft, I feel like I failed. I said, yeah, what about after that? Well, I usually leave the room. I go do stuff on the computer. I said, okay, here's my little shortcut. After you've come that first time, ask your partner if she's willing to see if you can get erect and come a second time. Huh. What do you know? It takes a little longer to get erect. Actually, it takes a little longer for things to build up. What do you know? That second time doesn't feel so premature anymore. It doesn't. Right, because it doesn't have all that pressure of the first time, and your body's already had a release, and any guy can tell you, not any guy, most guys, takes a little while to get erect again, takes a little while till you're ready to come again. Yeah, but all that sex play where you're not coming right away. And in that sex play where you're not coming right away, you're training yourself, maybe instead of I have premature ejaculation, the way I have sex is I ejaculate right away, and then I have great sex waiting for the next ejaculation. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What if that's actually just how you're wired? What if it turns out that's how you have great sex? Mm-hmm. Oh my God. Well, he goes home right away, says to his wife, okay, we gotta try this. What do you know? Now he is spending intimate time with his partner after the performance problem has gone away. And so now he's repeatedly having an experience that doesn't feel like he can't perform. Okay. If he'd said to me he couldn't get an erection, I would say, well, can you bring your partner off with your fingers and your tongue? If he'd said to me, well, I lose my erection, I said, well, what would happen then? It's the same answer. Mm-hmm. Once our story takes over the facts, we're lost. But we can change our story. We can change our story. So that was the work we did. And we worked, it was a one session, things got better. And then it was a lot of sessions of really looking at really what he feels about his penis, what he feels about his sexual response, what he feels about his partner, what he's afraid to ask for, what turns him on. Just was a lot about his own sexuality and having him kind of learn his sexuality. But I have to say that just the one thing of, well, why don't you just come fast and then, actually make it a goal. See how fast you can come. And then have sex with your partner. Then see, right? So,
and how much of helping men with their whatever they would call it sexual performance issues? How often do you also get to help them become a better lover and help them move their wife toward her own sexual awakening and imbue them with the confidence to be more of a masculine leader in the bedroom? And a lot of the things that I hear from women who are with partners who have performance problems, what they wish they could have. Are you able to, with a lot of men, also kind of get into those pieces with them?
So it's a little, yes, and there's nothing I can teach you that's going to make it better, make your partner have a different reaction. right? I wish there was a secret tool when a middle-aged woman decides she's lost her libido.
Yeah.
I wish there was some tool. I mean, I think there are some things, and I've worked with couples on this, but there's really not some simple technique that's suddenly going to make her desire you, no matter how many internet ads you get to the contrary.
You got to creep up on that stuff.
Yeah.
It's a slow drip, but it works.
Well,
you can do things.
Well, you have to recognize that libido and sexual desire and sexual performance are all inextricably intertwined with personality and shame and joy and health. And there's a lot of things going on. I want to say the first thing I always say to clients is when they have sexual dysfunction, when they think they're not having the sexual behavior that they'd like, have you had a recent physical?
Right.
And have you tried... so for women, I will also often ask, have you tried any hormone replacement therapies?
Yeah.
Okay. And for men, have you tried the vascular dilation stuff, the Cialis, Viagra,
nitric oxide?
Have you tried any of that? Okay. Because it's going to tell me a lot. It's going to tell me a lot. I have to say, as bodies age, women don't lubricate as easily, and the skin in their vaginal area becomes a little more friable. That is to say, it becomes tender and breaks up a little bit easier. Men, as you age, because of our lack of vascular flexibility, our penises get less hard and also are less reliable staying hard. That's just true. It's this actually... For guys, it's the same reason we start forgetting names. It turns out it's the same
as
thing.
Women.
It's the same thing. Our veins are just not contracting and expanding as well as they used to, and that affects our brain, it affects our dick, affects other things. But okay. But it's not bad. It's just change.
His name is Chaz August, in case you forgot.
So the first thing we have to do is stop fighting aging.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to stop.
Work with what you have.
Yeah, and what you have is going to change.
Yeah.
Okay. The next thing we need to do is we really need to look at, what do you want? Nobody finds their libido if the only reason they want to find their libido is to please their partner.
Yeah.
You can't do it that way. I wish you could. But you can't. You can do that for a little bit, but you can't do that way. Then the next thing is, how much do you want it? Right? I listen to women say, yeah, well, if I don't lubricate naturally, I don't know. Yeah, excuse me, I can recommend really great lubricants. They're not natural. The lubricant itself is natural. I recommend things that are all natural, that are, that aren't putting chemicals on a part of our body we don't want to put chemicals on, but they're out there. Yeah. They're out there. There's plenty of products like this. What's wrong with artificially lubricating and then noticing that because of the artificial lubrication you feel less pain, and because you feel less pain, suddenly you have the ability to have libido again? What's wrong with that? Why? What's wrong with helpers? Nothing's wrong with helpers. Now, for the people who've tried the helpers and the helpers aren't working. So great, I took my Viagra, but it didn't make me hard. All right, well, Viagra's not an aphrodisiac. It affects my vascular motion, but it doesn't affect my desire. So I'm going to say, if you take Viagra or Levitra or one of those things and you don't get your erection or don't keep your erection, the problem isn't your veins. Something going on in your head that's getting in the way of this. And no pill's going to fix that. Great, you're a woman and you notice that you've kind of used some lubricant that feels good on your body and you're kind of interested, and then you just can't wrap your head around it and it's just not happening for you. Great, the problem probably isn't physical.
Yeah.
Biggest erogenous zone we all have is between our ears. Yeah. Okay. And that leads you in a lot of interesting directions. It leads you to embracing your body as it is. It leads you to believing that you are sexy and beautiful. I am so happy some advertisers are finally showing like more realistically sized and shaped women so that women don't, because my God, women in their 50s don't look like women in their 20s. And men in their 50s mostly don't look like men in their 20s. We're never going to be, to try to fix that in a gym is a fool's errand.
Yeah. Gravity's
going to win every time. Time and gravity's going to win every time. But I got to tell you, I got a 56-year-old girlfriend who's hot.
Yeah.
She's not hot like a 20-year-old. I kind of wish I'd known her when she was 20, but she's hot. Okay. What makes her hot? Well, she embraces that mid-50s body and knows how to use it and is happy using it and embraces that sometimes things work differently than they worked in her 20s and embraces my 60-year-old body and recognizes that I might get soft, but it's not about her, and that and that what we're going to do to pleasure ourselves might look and sound different. Okay. So all that's sort of the big answer. Now I just want to say one really simple thing to try. So you're a man and you notice that you just don't really know how to show up as a manly man with your partner. Mm-hmm. Here are 3 things you can do that most women will like, and if your partner doesn't like it, she's going to tell you she doesn't like it, and you just have to stop. Don't tell her she should like it. But you'd be amazed at how many partners like it. And Susan, I'm going to say them, and you tell me whether you'd like this.
Okay.
1, when you kiss her, sometimes grab her hair to control the movement of her head.
Yes.
Yes, right? 2, when you are playing with her, about to enter her, move her body physically. Either push her legs apart or grab her hips and pull them towards you. Just move her physically.
Yes.
Yes. Number 3, actually say the words, "Oh, honey, I want you right now. This is so hot. I want you."
Yes.
I'm telling you, those 3 things are going to change everything that's happening in bed right away.
Absolutely.
Right. Okay, so there's my 3 little, those are, you can have those for free. Are they enough? Will they change everything enough? Well, for some people. Well, for some people,
They will definitely be the things she wants to hear and feel and has been dying to have happen. Yeah. I would say the number 1 question I get from women is, how do I get my man to take control in the bedroom? Yeah. So I spend a lot of time on masculine sexual leadership, polarity, domination, but sweet domination.
Yeah. Consensual
domination, exactly. Yeah. So you have another story for us. Should we segue to a story about couples? This is a big one, healing betrayal.
Yeah. So I had a guy come to me. This beautiful. He's got a beautiful wife, beautiful partner, kid. Lives a really nice life. Very, very financially successful. Very comfortable. Actually, really comfortable in himself. This guy I really liked. He's a fun, interesting guy to talk to. Very at home in his body. And what he needs to tell me is he's been cheating on this beautiful wife, and he doesn't quite know what to do. Okay.
It's very upsetting for him, I'm sure, even if he's cheating. A lot of people think that if you're cheating, you're doing it.
Well, in his case, and I find this is true in a lot of people's cases, he's given up getting what he thinks he needs from this beautiful partner, and in his mind, because he knows he needs it, he's kind of talked himself into justifying, well, I'm not really hurting her because I can't get this from her anyway. I'll go get this elsewhere. If she never knows, it'll never hurt her. I'll be happy. I won't be making her try to do something she doesn't want to do. See, this is a good solution.
Yeah.
And it isn't. Okay. So I want to talk about cheating. I want to talk about what it causes. I want to talk about what we're really looking for and how to move past it. Now, I want to make a distinction right away. I personally really like one-on-one monogamy. I like relationships that are one person with their beloved, and you're just trying to go deeper and deeper and deeper. You're just trying to, and it's all going to change, and the new relationship energy will change, but I want to replace that new relationship energy with a kind of fearlessness and a kind of ability to explore and I like that one-on-one thing. There are people who call themselves polyamory people, where the one-on-one isn't really the answer. For them, they're wired differently. They need a primary and a secondary, or they need 2 partners or 3 partners or 5 partners. I don't judge. I understand every human being is wired differently. I'm not talking about that.
Yeah.
Okay? This conversation is not about somebody who wanted to be in a polyamorous relationship and didn't know how to ask. This is a guy that's cheating on his wife. Okay? Let's just call it what it is, which is kind of after he got done with all the blah, 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 blah. I said, so let me get it clear. You're cheating on your wife. It's like, oh, I don't like to think of it that way. Yeah, I understand. But if you told it to your wife, right, what would she say? She'd say,
"You're cheating on me."
On me.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Like,
all the things that you've used to make it different than that in your mind are still
outside of your agreements.
Yeah.
You're behaving outside of your agreements. Okay. So let's start with that. How does that feel? So that's great. You go be with this other woman or these other women. How does it feel? Well, it's exciting. It's new relationship energy. The sex has really got all that new stuff in it.
She wants me.
She wants me, and I want her.
Yeah,
and
I feel
the
wanted.
illicit,
That's big.
And the illicit quality fuels something.
Yeah.
Forbidden sex is kind of hot, kind of not for everybody. For a lot of people, it's kind of okay.
It's probably meeting her in a hotel room or something.
So I said, great. Okay, good. I got it. It's got a lot of good things about it.
Yeah.
Do you want to continue doing it? Well, I'm afraid I'm going to lose my wife. She's going to find out. I'm going to lose it all. Well, okay. Why do you care? You'll lose it all, but you'll have all these girlfriends and you'll have all this new relationship energy. And he said, no, it's not really what I want. Okay, so I want you to just hear that. It's not really what you want. It's a solution to a problem. It was the only solution you kind of could come up with, or the solution you did come up with. But let's get clear. It's a stopgap solution. It doesn't really solve the problem. No, it doesn't really solve the problem. Okay. So let's breathe. If we could solve the problem, right? If we could solve it, what would the solution look like?
My wife would have sex with me again.
Well, it's not just my wife would have sex with me again. My wife would want
me
again.
Yeah.
And the sex we'd be having would be more like
the sex I'm having with my girlfriend.
Yeah. And maybe it never was that with my partner, or maybe it was and I want it back.
Uh-huh.
It would be more my fantasy of what I thought I was getting into when I created this relationship.
Uh-huh.
Great. That's great. That's good to know. Okay. So let's talk specifically. What do you want your wife to do that she's not doing? That's a very powerful question. That's a very powerful question. I'm not just talking about, so there's a way I want her to talk to me and there's a way I want her to show her desire. I want to know, do you want a blowjob? Do you want anal play? Do you want to go to sex parties? Do you want straight missionary sex, but just the best missionary sex you've ever had in your life? Do you want to do ecstasy with her? What really, what is it you want? All right, so the first thing I noticed with people where they betrayed their partner, they haven't really asked themselves that question.
Huh.
They know something's missing. They feel like they've tried to fix it, or they just don't know how to fix it. And so they've hatched this great solution, but they haven't ever really sat down and said, so what do I want?
They know what they don't want. They don't want more rejection.
Yeah, they don't want more rejection. They don't want more. Often what they don't want is they just don't want more of the same.
Yeah.
Here's a thing I hear guys say all the time that doesn't make sense to me, right? I love eating at such and such restaurant, but I wouldn't want to eat there every day for the rest of my life. Well, that's actually not true for me. There are restaurants I will go to till they close, as long as they keep changing their menu. If they'll just keep adding new dishes once in a while. I'm a big fan of a chain of Italian restaurants out here called Il Fornau.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And every month they feature another region in Italy.
Yeah, they do. The passport tasting. They do Milano and Venezia.
Yeah, okay.
You get to go all around the boot in a year.
Let's change the friggin' menu.
Right.
Right? Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, I might want to eat at that same restaurant every day if there were choices.
Yeah.
Right, okay. So why aren't there choices? Well, my partner doesn't really want that. Really? Have you asked her?
She wants it.
Well, I sort of asked her. I tried to touch her anus when we were having sex, and she freaked out. Okay.
With no advance warning, I'm sure.
I suggested one day that we watch porn together, and she didn't like it.
Yeah.
All right. So let me be really clear. I really like pornography. I do. I really like pornography. I don't like when people are being exploited, and I make a distinction between actresses who have chosen this as a way to make a living and amateur stuff and things where people are just illegally filming other people. I like actual, real produced pornography. Okay. Not all the time, but I like pornography. But there's some kinds of pornography I like and some kinds of pornography I don't like. There's some things I like watching and some things I don't like watching so much. There's, these days when you go to any pornographic video place, there's lots of categories. You know why there's all those categories? Because there's some things you like and some things you don't like. Great, you tried watching pornography with her. How many categories?
Yeah.
Oh, no, one thing that I like that she didn't like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the conversation starts to be about communication between your partner and you, and your fear about the consequence of communication. All right, but that's not what you think you came here to talk about, right? You didn't, right? But the conversation really here is you don't think you know how to have the conversation with your partner about your dissatisfaction. Okay, so how do we have that conversation? Well, here's a thing that most partners, male or female, are a little afraid to ask their long-term spouse or long-term partner. Are you really satisfied with our sex life? Yeah. We're terrified to ask that question. Mostly we're terrified because we're afraid it's going to lead to an argument. It's going to lead to somebody leaving. It's going to lead to somebody saying, no, I've never been satisfied. I'm glad you pointed it out. I'm out of here. Yeah. That is hardly ever what happens. Yeah. By and large, the first time one partner turns to another long-term partner and says, I don't want to start a fight. I don't even really know how to ask this question. I'm not really happy with our sex life. Are you? Wow, amazing things happen. Amazing things happen. By and large, the other partner bursts into tears or tells them their despair of not wanting to bring it up because they don't want to put pressure or because of whatever their story is. Great, now we're in a conversation.
Although, just as an aside here, I don't want you to go into an extended answer about how you would handle this, but I do want to say that I hear from a lot of people, men and women, that they're in a relationship where they have expressed that they want to talk about it or that they want more, and that their partner says, I don't want to talk about it. It's off the table. I'm sick of you pressuring me. This is all it's going to be. Like, this is what it is. Live with it. Right. Have you helped people that are in that situation? Okay. Because that is where I think people need the most help, and they're the most upset about being in a terrible situation where they can get no traction with their partner other than animosity and stonewalling. So
I want to say there's no one-size-fits-all answer. And the most common thing I say when a client of mine comes back and says, I tried talking to my partner and they wouldn't talk about it, I ask them what is the possibility of bringing their partner to a session with them. Let me mediate. Let me help. Mm-hmm. Because my experience is the conversation you thought you tried to have with your partner, because you were nervous about it and inept, wasn't actually the conversation your partner received. What your partner heard is, do I have permission to tell you all the ways I don't like having sex with you anymore? And your partner said,
no way!
You do not have permission to tell me all the ways you don't like having sex with me anymore. Right? Now, I know that's probably not the words you said.
Yeah.
But that's what they heard. They heard, great, I'm now going to hear that I'm unsexy, that I'm older, that you find me disgusting and you'd never want to fuck me. Yeah. Whoa, no, thank you. Let's just leave it the way it is. I don't need to hear that crap. Okay. So that's a communication issue, right?
If they won't come, can you still help them?
Yeah, a little bit at a time here.
You just have to break it down.
So this is a stupid thing, but I will say, well, would you go back and just tell your partner, this time, ask again, and this time when your partner tells you no, absolutely not, never, tell them back what you're hearing them say.
Right, of course, yeah.
Yeah. So right away, about 50% of those no, not ever, never, go right away. Because when I say back, what I think you're saying is you never want to talk about this, you just want to leave it alone, it's a sleeping dog, just let it lie. The woman says back, or the male says back, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I'm really frustrated and I'm really afraid you're about to tell me all the ways that you don't love me anymore and I'm scared. Oh, you're scared. Got it. I understand why you're scared.
Thank you.
Okay? Yeah. So, but that's not all of them. For some, you're going to say back, yes, I can't talk about this.
Yeah.
Now we have to have this is a challenging conversation, but the conversation is something like, I feel like if we don't talk about this, it can't get better. And I can't, and I have to say, I'm not okay with it not getting better.
Yeah.
Something has to change. And really, you may break up your marriage over this, okay? Marriages break up primarily over 2 reasons, sex or money. It's 3 reasons, sex, money, or sex and money.
Right.
So,
yeah,
yes.
And you'd make more money if you were having good sex.
Well, and also the truth is the money wouldn't matter so much if you were having good sex.
True.
The money won't replace the good sex, but the good sex will replace some of the lack of money.
Yeah.
Okay? It's just,
well said.
when you're happy, you're happy. You know, the money becomes a detail.
Right.
And you're not happy, no amount of money makes you happy.
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay, so that's the first piece. We have to really start finding out what the person's saying. But I have to say also, we have to face the reality of there are many marriages which at 15, 17, 20 years, the 2 partners really realize they want something different from each other.
Yeah.
But they want something the other person isn't willing to give, and then that's a good conversation to be in.
Although I think that a lot of marriages in the 17 to 20 years when the kids go off to school and the husband's been waiting for the kids to go off to college so that they can finally have that sex they used to have, and then he's waited so long, he's been laying in wait but not doing the things that it takes to keep her turned on, and then she's like, well, no, we're getting separated now. I'm leaving you now. And I get, oh my God, I get those emails every week.
Yep.
Like, I thought we were about ready to have the best sex of our lives, and she just moved out. What the hell do I do?
Well, so I would say first thing you do is reset the clock. Okay, so here's the deal: all that came before, it's just what came before.
Wipe off the road dirt.
Do you want to date this person now? And if you do want to date this person now, I would not assume that the first date ought to be, come on, let's go to bed and fuck.
Right.
You're going to have to court each other. This is what happens in a long-term marriage. We forget to do this. We don't go on sexy vacations. We don't take the person out to dinner. We don't make out.
Yeah.
One of the things I say to long-term couples, get in your car, go to the local teen makeout, Lover's Lane, and make out.
We did that. You told us to do that, and we did that in the back of our SUV, and it was fun.
Fun. Absolutely fun. Horrible place to have sex. It's uncomfortable. You've got, oh my God.
It's still fun.
Absolutely fun.
Yeah. Finishing off, because you and I could talk forever, but not everyone wants to hear us talk forever.
There's one more piece to this.
Go ahead.
At some point, you have to soon tell your partner that you betrayed them.
We're back to the man who was cheating on his wife.
So here's the deal. The only relationships which really last are relationships that are founded on trust and honesty, and I can't trust you if you don't tell me the truth. Yeah. Okay.
I can tell you for anything, but I can't trust you if you can't tell me the truth.
And I have to be prepared when I tell you that I betrayed you, that there's going to be a period of healing time there. It's probably not going to be, okay, fine, let's move on.
Yeah.
It's going to be brought up again. It's going to be brought up again lots of different times when I don't really want to hear it anymore. It's going to be, I'm going to think, well, come on, it's been months. You should be over it. And you may not be over it. And so I just want to talk about the process of healing betrayal. In the process of healing betrayal, first, the person who betrayed has to honestly believe they betrayed. They have to give up all those reasons why they had a good reason to betray and really get to the deeper part of, I had a contract with this person. They believed me, and I lied. I broke this contract unilaterally. Yeah. Okay? Because if I don't come with humility about I broke the agreement, we're never going to heal this. Yeah. Okay. Then we have to talk about what does the other person need to heal, and she doesn't know. Yeah. She doesn't really know. So we're going to have to kind of figure out. So one of the things is, I need to know that you're transparent. I hear partners say this all the time. I want the passcode to your phone, and I want you to be willing to let me look at your texts and look at your email. Yeah. I'm not saying I'm going to monitor everything you ever send, but every time you're on email and I walk in the room and you put up the screensaver, I already know you're cheating again. Yeah. Even if you're not. Right? So we need a level of openness and transparency that maybe we didn't need before. But at least for a while, I need to know that I could pick up your phone, put in the passcode, look at whoever you've been texting, and not have that moment of believing, oh my God, he's betraying me again. That's a very hard thing to give up, I have to say, right? I'm basically agreeing to give up my constitutional right to privacy, right? Yes, I'm giving up my constitutional right to privacy as a remedy, but I'm going to ask, I want the same from you. So that at least we have one rule for all of us, right? Our rule is either of us.
It's not a punishment.
It's not a punishment.
Yeah,
either of us can look at either's private
agreement.
Right. And if there's something that there's a reason I need to keep private from you, so I'm I don't want to say that.
Your birthday present.
Yeah, I can say that. I can say, I am planning a surprise for you, and I'm going to ask you to trust me. Don't look at this. And yes, that means there'll be less of a surprise because you've warned the person there's a surprise coming. But better there's less of a surprise than we don't agree with. So I've got to be genuinely remorseful and really see that I broke the trust, regardless of what the reasons were. We need to be transparent, so there's nothing hidden anymore. And then probably the biggest thing and the hardest thing, I need to be able to hear you talk about your feelings of betrayal and really let in how it is for you. And I don't want to. I want to defend. I want to push it away. I don't really want to hear how painful this was because then I feel bad about me. And I don't want to feel bad about me. But the truth about this is, I need to really, really get what was your experience. And my experience is if those things happen, it takes a little time, but over time that betrayal actually does heal. Those are the couples that talk about the time they almost broke up over a betrayal. Right? And you meet them, you know them, you've met them before. They talk about, oh yeah, my God, I thought it was all over. I really thought we were done. Yeah. But we've been together since then. We healed. We're better than ever. We learned how to be open with each other. We learned how to talk to each other. We learned a lot of, I wouldn't say I'd do it again, but we learned a lot of powerful things that made us a stronger couple.
Absolutely. I think that's, there are two things that I think you really help with in coaching. One is helping people understand that they can move through the process, giving them the words and the ways and the angles and the things that make it easier to say the things that are so hard to say. Having the support to do that. And you've been through this with so many people that you can guide them through. They don't even have to know what everything is that's going to happen. They can trust that you're going to deal with everything as it happens and get them through it to the other side. And that's the other piece of it, which is that when somebody works with you, they have to feel those feelings to get them out and to almost like a transfer them, to turn them into the lessons that make them stronger and then make them have the honesty, the trust, the communication skills, the intimacy that they always wanted but didn't know how to get. And so it's like you get the silver lining of the experience and the learning that you get from going through it. I don't think I said that very well, but
what you just described is why people come back. So they get a powerful thing that first time, but the thing that we'll do over time, we'll start to see how whatever the presenting issue was actually touches on pretty much every part of your life. And little by little, we'll really give a thorough washing for that road dirt. We'll vacuum the carpets and we'll polish the leather. We'll really
do an oil change.
Really, we'll explore at a pretty deep level how one thing always touches something else and how the journey inward is a lifelong journey. And so that's why people come back, and that's why they come back again and again, because with a coach, that lifelong journey, you start to see lesson points that you didn't realize were lessons. You start to see that you thought you were angry about the idiot in the car next to you who almost cut you off. And it turns out,
you're mad at yourself.
That just triggered some deeper story you're telling yourself or some deeper experience you had in the past. And little by little, we get better and better and better at seeing life as this lovely progression of fun lessons and painful lessons and sweet things and hard things, but that it all starts to be a pretty amazing journey. So that's what I do.
That's so great. I love you so much. I love to just listen to you talk. And I think about how incredibly happy I am that through our own personal struggles that you helped us with, that Tim and I started Personal Life Media so that we could bring that workshop experience to people all over the world. And now we have a coaching program where Chaz August is a coach in our program. It's like it just has all come full circle for us to go through the fire, come out the other side, and want to help everybody else have what we have. And part of that is access to you. And that's why I'm so excited about being able to offer coaching to so many people, because those stories that I get, those emails that I get with men and women pouring their hearts out to me, I couldn't fix everybody with revive her drive or expand her orgasm tonight or seduce her to, you can only do so much yourself.
Yeah.
You can only do so much coaching yourself with an online home study program. For many people, there's so much that they missed in parenting, so much shame, issues of betrayal, just lack of knowledge and lack of experience. You don't know what you don't know, but Chaz knows what you don't know, having worked with all those thousands of people. And so I'm just really... I really want to encourage you that if anything that Chaz said today was a trigger for you or touched your heart or made you want to have the experience of working with him, then I can't imagine a better gift that you could give yourself than the opportunity to work with such an amazing, beautiful, experienced man who's going to change your world for the better. So I'm Susan Bratton. This is Chaz August, one of our Personal Life Media coaches, and please click the link below this email and you can get a 15-minute free consultation with Chaz. Here's how it works. You pay $99 to book your 15-minute Get Acquainted session. All that does is hold a place on his calendar because he's a busy man. He has a very busy coaching practice. He only has so many hours in a day. And so you pay a $99 fee. That takes you to a coaching application. You fill out that application so he understands what you think, which is probably not what's actually apparently going on with you.
Sometimes it is.
Sometimes it is. And then you get to set up a time. You get to see when he's available for coaching calls. You pick a time. You can either call him or you can Skype him, and video Skype, if you have it, is of course what he prefers, but he'll do what you prefer. You have that 15-minute Get Acquainted session. You talk about what it is he might be able to do to support you. You decide if you want to move forward, and then from there, you book a package with him. All the rest of the rules and, how it all works are on the website on the link on the bottom of this page. But that's basically how it works. Anything last that you'd like to add, Chaz?
Well, I love what I do. I love meeting people. It fills my heart. Suze thinks I know the answers, but mostly what I know is how to listen to you. And my truth is, I think we all know the answers. We all... Yeah. You just need help accessing it. We all know the answers. We all know everything. So come and we'll help you discover what you already knew.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And thank you. Bye.